Burgess is going away this weekend, and so that means that I have both kids with me, which maybe 2 years ago that would have scared the heck out of me. But one of the things that I am really that I get excited about and I work on is being a great dad and being a better dad. And I do not have the dad gene in me. I'm sure there are some men who are just naturally very patient with their kids and can hold the container when they're freaking out. I have had to work very hard and consistently on shifting how I hold my stance and my energy. So when my kids do lose it or just cranky or hitting each other or whatever, that I then don't lose it, but that I hold that container of stability. So Burge is going away for the next 3 days for the long weekend. And so I'm looking forward to what can I do with the kids? Where are we going to go? Are we going to go to the ocean? Are we going to go to the city? Are we going to watch a movie together? And so it's interesting how through really working on myself that spending time with them, and look, part of it is they are older now, right? So when my kids were, both under 5, I really had to put all of my attention on them at all times. They wanted dad all the time when I was with them. But now that they're older, they can maybe read or play in the room or play Legos or, they can entertain themselves a little bit more. So that also gives me a little breathing space. Hey guys, this is RC Peck and this is my weekend podcast. It's so great to have you here. I want to talk about something, and it's actually the crossroads of two things that I shouldn't say actually, that I love. So the one thing I absolutely love is understanding human behavior when it comes to investing. I love that. I've been spending 2 decades at the crossroad of human behavior and investing money. My other love, which some of you know or don't know, is China. I was an Asian studies major, graduated with an Asian studies degree. And when I graduated school, I spent a few years living over, not just in China, but Southeast Asia. And I love China. So I'm combining my two loves today in this conversation with you. So I want to talk to you about China. A lot of people have been emailing me. I've been seeing a lot of things in the hyposphere, the newsletter hype sphere, that now's the time to get into China. China's definitely now standing up and it's kicking butt, and you got to get into China now, and on and on and on. And they write these gorgeous stories that just make you start to drool and get all Pavlovian. And it's like, all right, so is China the place to be? And so let's explore that for a few minutes and see if in fact what the Pick of the Month newsletter industry is saying to you is actually true. So I have 4 price charts I want to show you. The first one is this ticker symbol. It's A shares. It's actual Chinese ticker symbols. All right, so these are shares, the A shares of Chinese companies. And I pulled up there's only a 3-year price chart of A shares. And so look, it went from 17 to 42, dropped down to 21. I mean, you can just see this huge rise up, huge fall, and it is just kind of stabilizing here. It hasn't really done anything. So when I look at this, I go, yeah, I mean, maybe there's an uptrend here, but man, it can't get above 26. But I'm not seeing the crazy moves that the Pick of the Month newsletter industry is telling you that are already happening. So A shares aren't really telling me they're killing it or that it's a place. I mean, maybe it's something you just keep your attention on. But this is not the whole picture. So the next thing I want to do is I just want to look at another type of Chinese ticker symbol, which is the FXI, the iShares China Large Cap ETF. It's been around longer. It looks a little better. It also did a huge fall, like the A shares. This ETF fell from 50 down to 28. Let's just round and say that was a 50% drop. I know it wasn't, but it was pretty darn close. And then it has moved up. So again, yes, absolutely. I can visually see FXI, which is the Chinese large cap ETF. I can see here that it's moved from $28 to $38. The question is that enough? Right? Is that enough to just see the move in the actual price chart. And if someone was just looking at these price chart, this type of price chart, then they're doing themselves a disservice. So I want to compare these two price charts against the S&P 500 because, as you know, the S&P 500 is your free rate of return. And it's your free rate of return whether you live in China or live in the UK or live in Australia or live in South Korea. The S&P 500 is still your free rate of return. It's the one index that you have to be beating at a minimum to consider buying another country. So look, this price chart here is comparing A shares against the S&P 500. So when you see it's kind of like a dark gray line. When you see that going down, or when you see this 70 period exponential moving average going down, it's telling you that the Chinese market is underperforming the US market. So when you look at a relative price chart, you start to see a very clear picture that, in fact, you know what? Yeah, A shares, they've stabilized, they're going up a little bit, but they're still underperforming. And until that turns around, then you want to stay away. And then I did the same thing with FXI, the large cap iShares tracking ETF of Chinese shares. And this is a little bit better, just like the absolute price chart was a little bit better. Again, I'm showing you a relative price chart comparing FXI against the S&P. And I put this red rectangle in for you to see, like, hey, FXI is kind of just going back and forth against the S&P 500. But I'm not seeing a reason to. Look, it is riskier when you put your money in China. China is a younger stock market. It is more volatile. So if you're going to move your money over to China, it better be worth your time. So based on those 4 price charts, it gives you a lot of, it gives you clarity that you might not have, both using price charts and how you use price charts. Now, there are 3 tools that I teach and that I use. What I just showed you here is a third of one of the tools. So you're looking at a third, meaning using relative price charts just like I did. That's basically showing you 33% of one of the tools that I use. Now, when people use just that one tool, but they need the whole tool, not just a third of it, right? I mean, imagine having a shovel either without the handle or without the spade on the bottom. It is not that useful. It's more useful than using your hands, but it's kind of an ineffective tool. And that's kind of in some ways what I just showed you, was showing you a shovel that maybe just has the spade on the end, but it's not even made of metal. And yeah, of course, it's better than using your hands, but why not use the whole shovel? That would be one of the tools. And then there's 2 more tools that I'm not including in here. One I call the B17, which is a pretty amazing tool that it forces you to take action at the right time, right? So most people know what to do. They just never do it at the right time. They do it months or quarters or years later, and then that knowledge doesn't really serve them. And then the third tool is the tool that tells them how their overall global wealth is doing. And this is so incredibly important because, look, guys, if your net worth ain't growing, but your stock market portfolio is, you're still heading downhill. So these tools are important. Okay, so what's the takeaway? So first of all, guys, the free rate of return is the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested. If what you're looking at buying is not beating that, then you have no business being in that. Sorry, my animation is a little bit out of order. So the takeaway is not quite yet China. So the free rate of return is the S&P, and it's not beating that. So just have patience, or whether you do have patience or you don't, what I'm saying is you want to have patience with getting into China because it is not worth the volatility and I do my best to stay away from the word risk because the human brain doesn't really get the word risk. So it's not worth putting your money into that symbol or location until it's outrunning a stable, safe investment. And stable and safe does not mean weak and lame. It means powerful and strong. And guys, just using this third of the tool, it can still give you an incredible amount of clarity when looking at pick of the month ticker symbols, which I don't actually suggest you even get into that world, but I understand that we are very Pavlovian, and we like the dopamine hits, and we love the amazing written stories of the next Facebook of China and the next eBay of Hong Kong and the next fill in the blank of fill in the blank. I get that our brain just drools over that and wants to find that moonshot 1,000% return. It just doesn't happen. So use the power of price charts. Start to ask strong questions. And with the one tool we have, it gives you literally that decision tree. Should you be in or out? What's the best location? What's the best size? What's the best type? Very methodically, very black or white, zeros or ones. And it goes on to ask a couple more questions that you get very, very clear exactly where your money will be treated best, right? Notice I say where your money is treated best and not how you will maybe feel best about it, or what your age is, or what your risk tolerance is, but literally where your money will be treated best. Hey guys, this is just another step in helping you protect and grow your portfolio and your future. Until next time, this is RC Peck. Hey guys, thanks so much for being in my world. I got 2 pretty cool trainings coming out. Keep a lookout for them. I will send an email to you. One's, I'm trying out this new way of training where it's going to be super fast paced and I think really fun. And then the other one is just an incredible amount of insight that I've gotten just in the last probably few months, and I want to share that with you. So both of them are pretty powerful, and they will be coming up. You guys take care. Thank you for being my world.